The UHF spectrum that powers your wireless microphones and in your in-ear monitors is under active scrutiny for reallocation to mobile broadband.
It's literally been a fight my entire career. We have to speak out. We have to go to the people that are making these decisions. We have to make our voices heard, and we really have to let them see the actual impacts of these changes.
What if all of the NFL teams understood the challenge this is going to be for their enterprise?
What would Taylor Swift's Eras tour have been? I mean, that was a multi-billion-dollar tour that could have had so many more issues, right? Get those people involved.
I love that. If Taylor Swift, all right, so let's go Swift and Kelsey, that's the NFL, and together on an infomercial like that right there, we just solved it right here.
I'm going to put out the call.
I have been doing this for 15 years. We have worked tirelessly to avoid that very statement, Kelsey and Taylor. Dadgummit.
Don't ever say or think that again.
Couple of significant registrations are open, holograms at the airport, and the pros and cons of manufacturers partnering on solutions. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 769, recorded Friday, May 15th, 2026. Visible Wireless. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and the IT world. LaGuardia Airport meets you at the gate with a hologram. The AVIXA Foundation opens its biggest scholarship class yet. HETMA goes global, and IBC opens the doors for 2026. Let's get into it. First up, Layard Europe has unveiled the Planar Mantis series, a new line of indoor LED video walls built for rental and staging. But the interesting angle is not just rental houses, it's any organization that owns its own LED inventory. Think broadcast studios, virtual production stages, large houses of worship, in-house corporate event teams. The headline is toolless. That's the one feature. One-handed setup and tear down. Crews of any experience level, any size, can get a wall up and break it down without reaching for a wrench. The series comes in 3 pixel pitches, 1.5, 1.9, and 2.6 millimeter. You get up to 1,500 nits of brightness. That is incredibly bright. Refresh rates are up to 7,600 hertz and a 4,000 to 1 contrast ratio. The cabinet is lightweight, magnesium alloy, which keeps it rigid so you avoid the flexing and warping that throws off image alignment. Next, an industry first at LaGuardia. That's the first I've ever said that sentence. LaGuardia Airport Terminal B just deployed the first fully active hologram in any airport terminal anywhere in the world. Meet Bridget. She's a life-size, hyper-realistic hologram ambassador, and she can hold a natural conversation with you. Travelers walk up and ask questions. Where's my gate? Where's the lounge? Where's baggage claim? Where's coffee? Whatever. Bridget gives real-time directions. The hardware comes from Proto-Hologram, the AI brain, and a concierge wayfinding applications from Holo Media. Other airports have used holograms before, but only for entertainment or static welcome messages. This is the first fully interactive deployment. The design also leans hard on accessibility. High contrast displays, closed captioning, and a physical interface placed for wheelchair access. Currently, English and Spanish are the only 2 languages, but more are coming. Now to workforce news, the AVIXA Foundation has opened applications for the Michael Vergouwen Scholarship. 10 awards, $2,500 each, one-time contributions toward tuition. Eligible applicants, current or future students in a vocational study, undergraduate or graduate, doesn't matter, program tied to audio-visual, creative, or integrated experience work. Total pool this year, $25,000. The scholarship honors the late Michael Vergouwen, former COO of Forte, company formerly known as AVI Systems, and a longtime AVIXA board member. Over the lifetime of the program, more than $800,000 has been awarded to nearly 500 students. Now, alumni have gone on to roles at iHeartMedia, Meta, and QSYS. Applications close June 13th for anyone building an AV or IT team right now. The talent pipeline is a real constraint and concern. Programs like this are how the industry feeds the next generation of engineers, designers, consultants. If you've got a student in your orbit, in your life, who should apply, please tell them, because it is a real benefit. Our fourth story, HETMA is going global. Not that they haven't already, but they are expanding their global reach. The Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance has officially joined the Media and Learning Association as a networking member. The Media and Learning Association is a Europe-based organization co-funded by the European Union, sitting at the intersection of media and higher education. HETMA, of course, is the leading advocacy voice for higher ed AV in the United States. Why this matters for higher ed and IT decision makers, the challenges you're facing, quite frankly, are global. Classroom design, hybrid learning, credentialing, AV standards, all of it. These conversations are happening in Brussels and Barcelona, not just in Burbank. So, expect more cross-Atlantic research, joint best practices, and shared resources coming out of this partnership. And finally, if Amsterdam is on your fall calendar, registration just opened up for IBC 2026. AVNation will be at IBC 2026. The show runs September 11th through the 14th at the Amsterdam Rai. You'll have free access to 14 halls, including an expanded Future Tech Hall. Attendees come from more than 170 countries. IBC has historically been a broadcast show, but it's now sitting squarely at the intersection of AV and broadcast, which is why it matters most to this audience. If your organization touches video production, content delivery, streaming, or large-scale AV infrastructure, this is where conversation is happening in Europe this fall. That's your AV news for the week. Stick around where our roundtable looks at the pros and cons of manufacturers partnering and battling for wireless spectrum. This is AV Week.
Hey listeners, it's your AV sneakerhead, Jennifer Weaver. Listen to AV Career Masterminds, where I chat all things job-related in the audio-visual industry. You can find AV Career Masterminds where you subscribe to podcasts.
All right, welcome back with us to discuss a couple more articles we've got. First and foremost, Rebecca Sellens. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Also with us is Mr. Ryan Gray.
Good to see you, young man. Thanks for the invite.
Good to see you. I appreciate the young man. Last but not least, Mark Corbin. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate to be on. Looking forward to it, buddy.
So as happens sometimes, I kind of fall into a lucky happenstance because I don't look at who's on the show when I pick stories, and this is one of those weeks where I just kind of lucked into it. So first and foremost, from our friends over at Innovate, Sam Claude of WMSA Europe and Mission Control just sounded an alarm in a feature from Innovate. The UHF spectrum that powers your wireless microphones and in your in-ear monitors, specifically the 1614 and 694 megahertz band in Europe, is under active scrutiny for reallocation to mobile broadband. I did say Europe, but this is also a U.S. issue. According to the article, the next World Radio Communication Conference isn't until 2031, but the preparatory work is happening right now, and UK regulator Ofcom has already opened a call for input. Rebecca, we have done this dance, I'm going to say 6 times, 7 times in the last 25, 26 years.
It's literally been a fight my entire career.
Yeah. So how do we stop it? How do our friends across the pond stop it? How do we let our lawmakers and regulators know that you're going to impact an entire industry, and I would argue several industries that kind of cross each other?
Well, my joke answer there is to put all the politicians in a really high-end concert and let them hear what it sounds like when we start having all of these wireless issues. That would be fun. However, my real answer is literally visibility, right? There are so many people that make these decisions that are making them without knowing what it's really going to impact. And of course, that is just the story of all politicians and all decision makers, right? But it needs to be visibility. We as an industry need to get out. We need to speak out about the issues because every single person on the planet has one of these in their hand. So they understand that they need bandwidth. They need wireless spectrum for those devices. They don't understand the things that are already there, right? When you go fishing in a pond, you know you need trout, but you don't realize that you're killing the ducks or whatever. So we have to get out. We have to speak out. We have to go to the people that are making these decisions. We have to make our voices heard, and we really have to just let them see the actual impacts of these changes and what it's going to do. I mean, imagine a world without concerts. Imagine a world without speeches. Even they use wireless microphones when they're, speaking whatever. This is a very important technology that they just don't think about. It's a hole in their knowledge. So I say just advocacy as much as we can do in as many places as we can do it, both here and across the pond, because if we lose that slice of the UHF spectrum, we're going to be boned for a decade.
Yeah, or more. Mr. Gray, one of Claude's biggest point is that end user voices have been absent from the regulatory conversation. As decision makers buying and deploying this gear, what is a practical avenue that you can take either locally there at Yavapai, or through HETMA, to get involved before the next reallocation decision gets made?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a great point, right? Unifying the voices of everyone who is affected is one of the ways to get the attention of the people that Rebecca's talking about. And I think from our standpoint, so for instance, HETMA has joined an effort here in the United States that is being put together by a lot of the microphone manufacturers to try and keep this issue up. But even more so, I think organizations like EDUCAUSE or other ones that bring together like all of higher ed, you know what I'm saying, and the presence and the spending power of all universities together, it needs to be leveraged also. Sometimes in those larger technology organizations, AV can feel like a niche, but we all rely on these technologies. I have a good friend here in Arizona who one of his side gigs is to be the manager of wireless frequencies for NFL Arizona Cardinals games in the stadium there.
Yeah.
What if all of the NFL teams understood the challenge this is going to be for their enterprise? And because truly, this is communication. It is just a key piece of communication. And like we said, it feeds billion-dollar industries. So I'll work on getting the higher ed community, together on that. But let's raise that alarm bell all the way up the chain where we can.
I mean, that's a great point, Ryan. I mean, think about what would Taylor Swift's Eras tour have been.
Exactly.
I mean, that was a multi-billion-dollar tour that could have had so many more issues, right? Get those people involved.
I love that. If Taylor Swift, all right, so let's go Swift and Kelsey. That's the NFL and together on an infomercial like that right there. Done. Done.
Ryan,
we just solved it right
I'm going
here.
to put out the call.
I have been doing this for 15 years. We have worked tirelessly to avoid that very statement, Kelsey and Taylor. Dadgummit, yeah. But you're not wrong.
Come on, Tim.
You're not wrong. I mean, that would be the Swift Kelsey, whatever the
costume people get their own gala. We could have a T Swift Kelsey fundraiser for Save the Wireless Spectrum.
Yeah, it's a large scale and small scale. So you could go like, oh, it's huge for Taylor Swift, right? Yeah, absolutely. But guess what? Multiple speakers that are on the consumer market that entertain your patio or entertain a ballroom that don't want to spend the money like that, guess what? They're all, a lot of times, maybe using Bluetooth, but if they're really consistent, they're using an RF frequency. So you're just talking major changes. It's crazy.
But you're not wrong. The attention that the Eras tour got and all the things around it, and it does, you know what I'm saying? It is one of the pieces of scaffolding is the wireless. You put up an amazing stage. If you can't hear her sing, nobody's showing up. So
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just microphones. It's packs for guitars. It's packs for
in-ears.
Yeah,
everything.
Especially in-ears. Yeah, monitors, everything.
Even wireless video at this point. Like it's
absolutely. It's crazy. Yeah. It impacts such a large chain.
So, Mark, I'm going to bring you in as the manufacturer. What can you guys do, either singularly or as a part of a bigger organization?
Well, I think one of the major things is to definitely go into organizations like WSMA and make sure you're putting in your input. For manufacturers, this is not a great opportunity because the cost of things get extremely expensive. Anytime any kind of frequency changes, that has to change with every single product you make. And then is it reverse compatible? Is reverse compatibility even allowed at that point? We talked about before when this happened with the FCC changing 700 megahertz to 600 megahertz. Yep. And those costs drive so much. And with already the products and just the raw materials increasing so dramatically currently, you add a whole new nuance of, hey, we've got to put in now on all our Shure mics, on all of our, Shure headpieces. We've got to make sure everything's got new frequencies. That's a whole new line of manufacturing, whole new cost of materials, and it gets really pricey. So, I am a very big advocate from a manufacturer standpoint of getting with these organizations and trying to make sure that they know, we are trying to make input as well. And, I think from the Vanco standpoint, though, it also, when RF industries like this start to kind of have issues, there is a lot of step-arounds that incur. So there's a lot of opportunities for integrators and even end users to utilize other products for step-arounds currently to just help save costs sometimes. So it also brings opportunities in a weird way, but from a manufacturing standpoint, it's just it's a major cost problem.
So this actually also ties into something we talked about last week, which is sustainability and recycling old gear. Because if suddenly thousands upon thousands of channels of wireless are suddenly obsolete, what do we do with that? Because God love our friends at Shure and Sennheiser and every other wireless microphone. What they've done in the past is they have given us $100, $200 credits. That's fine. We send it back and we get a new one. Great, awesome, groovy. Then they suddenly have all of these microphones that have these rechargeable batteries that they have to do something with. And I have no idea who the next AVIXA CEO is, right? They are in the middle of that process. But I will tell that person, whoever that is, the same thing I've told Dave Lebuscus for over 10 years. AVIXA has to get back to lobbying Congress. AVIXA has to get back to lobbying our lawmakers, because this is right here, one of the uses that AVIXA used to do when it was called Infocom. They would present to the lawmakers, to the regulators, the issues that we are just bringing up here. This is going to impact economically. This is going to impact from a sustainability and a recycling standpoint. It's going to impact people all the way from Fortune 100 down to my old, community college outside of St. Louis, and everybody in between. This is going to be a huge deal. So.
And also, just to touch on that point a little bit, there's another compounding cost that's not really being thought about, in that, 10 years ago, if you were upgrading one wireless spectrum for another wireless spectrum, it was relatively similar guts, right? Yep. So that $100 kind of went as far as $100 would go. But now so many new things are operating off of computer guts, right? As opposed to just actual hardware and stuff that you buy. And the cost of RAM, the cost of GPUs, all of those things, $100 is worth about, $3 now? That upgrade's not going to get you anything anymore, because just modern technology is built differently.
Yeah, and you also have, regulators and lawmakers who really don't understand how deep that can go. I think that's the biggest thing is they're just doing their job as what it's meant for, but a lot of times they don't understand how deep that goes from consumer all the way down to manufacturer. So
no, they have no idea. They need a new computer. They tell their assistant, their assistant goes out and buys it. Whereas I rebuilt 2 towers in the last 3 months and literally passed out a little bit when I saw the price of RAM.
I have said this a couple of different times. My son and I built for his high school graduation a brand new computer. Rebecca, we did it back in September of last year. Same exact RAM that I bought, and I thank goodness that I upgraded his RAM, is 3 times as much as what we paid in September. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's insane.
I got 64 gigs for like $350, $400. That used to be like $80 worth of rate.
All right, we'll get one more story. I'm certain we can get this one in. From AV Magazine, Barco just announced that its ClickShare Hub Core, paired with Logitech's Meetup 2, is now certified for Microsoft Teams. This makes 4 certified bundles from Barco, rolled out in just under a year. A couple other was with Sennheiser, Hudley, and now twice with Logitech. This is built on MDEP, the Microsoft Device Ecosystem Platform. If you don't know my thoughts on MDEP, you can listen to other previous versions of AVWeek. Let's just say I think it's problematic is the best, most possible way for me to say that.
Is this the part where Mitch stitches in my previous comment of always blame Microsoft?
Yes, 100%, absolutely. The bigger story is not just the partnership, but it's also Barco, quite frankly, isn't building its own camera. It's leveraging other people's. It's leveraging other people's technology from everything from microphones to cameras, everything in between. They're also leveraging this to get certified ecosystems. For end users, that promise is plug-and-play simplicity. For integrators, it's faster deployment, and for everybody else, it's looking at what they can do together. The whole point of this story is to talk about partnerships. Ryan, from a buyer's standpoint, from a purchaser standpoint, is a certified bundle from 2 separate manufacturers easier to deploy? Is it easier to spec, or is it harder when something breaks and inevitably finger pointing starts between vendors? Not that that's ever happened.
Well, I that's a great question, and I would say finger pointing between vendors is going to happen no matter what. Also, it can happen within the same vendor in different areas or different departments. I think.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Finger pointing is a ubiquitous part of human experience, but I personally, and I think it benefits the industry as a whole to see more and more partnerships like this. I like companies doubling down on what they do well and leveraging other companies with what they do well to create more options for buyers to choose from instead of just those who can create something that is a full ecosystem or all in one. I'll tell you from, I don't want to speak for all of higher ed, but from my experience.
All of higher ed.
Speaking for all of higher ed. Certified for Microsoft Teams logo on a thing doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. I care what something can do, not necessarily what it was designed to do, and the processes it takes to get those stamps and that sort of thing. Again, we could go into all that, but it for us, it's far more. I trust far more a colleague that says we've been using X with Y for a year and we love it. That is worth 10 manufacturer or partnership stamps on something. So it is really truly that sort of in the world, in the field experience. I think for smaller institutions or places where it is more IT focused people that are having to, deploy conference rooms and things like that where they don't have good, true AV, expertise in house. These things can be helpful and give them a place to go and where they can have a little bit more assuredness that maybe something is going to work right. But, everybody wants plug and play, and I think all of our experience has been, be it a single headset or a whole system that's supposed to be plug and play. Everything has the chance to go south. So I think we don't rely on a stamp as your guarantee that you don't have to worry about it. It still needs to be thought of and maintained like anything else. But I think the industry benefits when companies are able to kind of double down on what they do well. So in this case, for Barco to say, our real value is in our wireless sharing part, and we're going to partner with these other companies rather than just either build our own camera or hide that we're putting their camera in something that's our brand anyways.
Corbin, when you tie, as a manufacturer, basically your roadmap to somebody else, right? When you have a partnership like this, Does that increase innovation or does that stymie innovation?
You know, I think it's a good thing. I think it helps innovation, mainly being because certain companies, as if you're partnering, you're specifically good at one thing, the other company's specifically good at the other thing. And a lot of times between innovation costs and just research and development, the time it would take to try to set up that platform or, completely do it, vertically integrated, it's very difficult, and it can cost money, it can cost time, and at that point you could possibly miss the market share. So I think these things are really great opportunities when they come across. I think Ryan kind of hit it. The only concern I would have with something like this is where does the finger start getting pointed on the tech side or the error sides of things? If you have, 3 different suppliers whose piece broke and what didn't work, and it does, hopefully a finger pointing wouldn't happen, but let's face it, we've all probably seen that in acquisitions or just merging together to form products. So that would be my only scare. I think it's great though when companies do multi-bundles between themselves. It gives component manufacturers opportunities too to help possibly get opportunities with those people. So I don't mind it as well. I think it's really good for the industry. The only tough part can be just your customer service warranties and product-wise how that plays out, depending on who makes what and who does what. That's pretty much our view on that. I think it's good though. I think it'll. It's a big one. Let's face that. Yeah. And certification, like I said, when you're sharing certification too, I would assume that's what they're doing. I know as a manufacturer, just making any kind of video bar, if you're going to team certify it, the costs are very, very expensive. So on that front, it makes a lot of sense why you would do this.
All right, Ms. Sullins.
Oh, I'm gonna be that guy.
I'm gonna grab a chair.
Did you bring popcorn, Tim? Okay, I hate them. I hate them, and I wish people would stop doing them. Just to be completely frank, because to Ryan's point, I very, very much enjoy when, the microphone company sticks to making microphones, or the wireless sharing company sticks to doing wireless sharing, or whatever, right? I'm a big fan of that. However, what these bundles are doing is they're arbitrarily deciding which ones you think should be best, and they're throwing them all together, and then you can't change those pieces. I don't like that. That is what a designer is for. That is what a systems engineer is for, is to do that part for you. And when you keep all those components separate, right? Like I have one whatever for control system and one for DSP and whatever. Then all of a sudden that customer service and that repair and that engine, that is what the integrator is for. That is what the designer is for, is to make sure that those pieces work together and provide the very best possible end user functionality, right, for what they want. And these bundles, yeah, they're easy, they're plug and play, they're quick, they're, not to be this guy, but it's the systems equivalent of a trunk slammer, right? You can go in there, you can put this thing on a desk, you can plug it into your network and turn it on and you're done. But does that mean that it is the best for that environment, for that functionality, whatever? And you can no longer change those pieces out. And I don't like that. I hate it. One of my very biggest horror stories in my entire career was when one company, who shall remain nameless, first started doing these sort of huddle rooms packages, yep, right, where you could literally just walk in with a box and put it in, and it had the microphone and it had the whatever. However, basically one piece of it was made by one company, and then one piece of it was made by another company, and then it was shipped to a a reseller, basically, who put the two pieces together and loaded software on it and shipped it to you. So we're talking about 4 different companies. We never, ever, ever could get anyone to solve our problems on these things. Not once. Because I would call the hardware manufacturer and they'd blame the software. I'd call the software manufacturer and they'd say it wasn't installed right. And I'd call the reseller and they'd say, go back to these other 2 people. I refuse to use them if I can help it at all. So that's just me. I would much rather keep my system components separate, because then it becomes easier to replace if one piece fails, or if they want to upgrade from Zoom to Teams or whatever, right? You can replace one of those pieces without having to redo every single room. I don't like them, and I avoid them as a designer and engineer.
That's a good place to stop. I like that. All right, y'all. Thanks so much. Mr. Ryan Gray from Yavapai College. Welcome. Thank you, sir. How do people connect with you, and how do they connect with HETMA?
Please find me on LinkedIn. Search for me, Ryan Gray. I'm pretty easy to find. Or, you find Tim, and then he connects you to me.
Find me.
No, I thought every show you tell people to follow you on the socials. Is that
do not follow me on the socials?
I know. All right. But yeah, no, since we are rolling towards InfoComm, I would encourage everyone who's going to be there, regardless of what segment of the industry, you have got to come by the HETMA booth, C6023. I am confident in saying it is the best booth on the show floor because it is the only booth there where we don't have anything to sell you. I cannot take your money in any way, and we're not selling anything. So come have...
And they have beer.
Oh, yeah.
And they have beer.
We have happy hours every day. And so if you, I'll point you also hiredav.com, which is the media part there. We've got a whole page of everything that HETMA's doing at InfoComm, including those happy hours and everything going on there. And I'll also ask people, take a look in your InfoComm registration for the future classroom show floor tours. I'm doing one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. And we've got pretty good curated trip around the show floor, looking at some of the things that are new, some of the things that are reliable, and ways to really kind of enhance learning spaces and keep students engaged. So really looking forward to seeing everybody in the industry at InfoComm.
And how do people connect and listen to your fantastic podcast?
Yeah, please. I would say everybody out there, hiredav.com, bookmark it and visit every day. You will find, not to steal another line, but my show and a host of others. But we have essentially...
Do you just want to do my part from here on out? Because I can go home.
I know, yeah, exactly. I'm just borrowing from the best.
Yeah, but you have to wear the shirt.
Yeah, that is true. That I do. Yeah, I would love to wear that shirt. Actually, I think that'd be great. No,
I'll bring it to Vegas.
Perfect. No, just a variety of columns and podcasts there that deal with things AV, things higher ed, things about management, things about social well-being, mental health, all of the things that we're living with every day. So, hiredav.com, bookmark it, visit every day for something new.
All right, very good.
I might need to go visit that for some mental health.
It's some good stuff.
Living in AV, I mean, living everywhere, but working in AV these days is mental health exercise, I think.
Yeah. Rebecca Sullins, how do people connect with you, and how do they sit in on one of your 37 classes at InfoComm?
Not 37 this year. You can find me on LinkedIn, Rebecca Sullins. It's not a common last name. I am the only one. So you can find me there. You can email me, rebecca.sullins@ampthink.com. Or you can find me at InfoComm, usually at the HETMA happy hours, from time to time. Or I've got a couple of classes. I'm teaching designing audio systems for high intelligibility, room measurement for intelligibility with James Maltese, which is always a good one. We actually run through how to actually measure and read the recordings. And I'm teaching a new one this year on the fundamentals of how spatial and 8D audio actually work, so that you don't have to be dependent on those computers when you can't afford the RAM for them. And so that one, it's literally going to get into sort of the biophysiology and mechanics of how those things function, which I find absolutely fascinating. So that's a new one this year, and that will be fun. I'm also doing the audio show floor tour for live audio. I think it's Thursday. I've got a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday, but sign up for that. Again, we've got some new technologies that we're going to go talk about. We've got some tried and true, some of my favorite stuff, and it'll be great fun.
All right, very good. We'll see you there. Mr. Corbin, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you? How do they connect with Vanco? And where can we find you on the show floor at InfoComm?
Well, thank you, Tim, for this. Was a lot of fun, everyone. I appreciate it. It was great conversations. We will be on the InfoComm floor. We'll be presenting multiple new IP solutions, some Dante solutions. Our booth number for Vanco International is C6409. Please come check us out. We have a lot of demos. We have a lot of giveaways this year, and we do good ones. So if you've been to our booth before, we don't give away cheap giveaways. They're good ones. So stop by, fill out some information. We'd love to see you. And if you're not going to be able to make that, please check us out at Vanco1, that's the number 1.com. And we're also on all socials as Vanco International. So thank you very much, Tim. It was great.
Thank you, sir. As Mr. Gray said, you do not follow me, please, on the websites. We'll go any other social, but go by the website, please, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. you will find this program and a host of others. We've already started doing Infocom prep. So Mitchell has already been working on that. So you can check that out as well on the website. If you are interested in reading things that I write that have nothing to do with technology, you can you can connect with me on LinkedIn. A couple of Infocom pieces. Number one, we are doing the AVNation Access. We used to call it the Tweet Up, but it's all things social now. That is Wednesday, June 17th from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll have more information on that on the website as that becomes available. But go by the website if you would, please, avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hi, this is Jennifer Goodyear
and Erica Carroll
from the Women in AV podcast, where we are encouraged by the incredible stories of women in AV.
Listen in on fun, empowering conversations as we chat with inspiring women, breaking barriers and creating their own path in the industry.
Check out Women in AV on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.